Hello and welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to another 24/7 news report. The headline news today comes from Paul Joyce, and it's that David Moyes has confirmed that Liam Delap has held transfer talks with Everton. This big news that we have ran a poll on the Toffee Blues Twitter, which I believe is still up at Everton Newsfeed if you want to vote. Liam Delap at Everton, leave us your thoughts with 4,684 votes. Thank you to everyone that voted on this. 89% of the fans have said that they would love Delap. 8% have said that they don't really know, and the final 3% have said that they wouldn't. Delap's an interesting one. £30 million release clause, and I definitely think he is worth that. I think he's a really good player. I think he's shown it for Ipswich this season that he's been the focal point of their attacks and has really been probably the main reason they even nicked a few points to begin with. I think he's got 12 goals and like 3 assists in the Premier League this season, something around that. And yeah, I think he'd be a really good player to bring in. There's interest from Newcastle, Man United and Chelsea also surrounding him. So if we can manage to get him in, I think it'd be really good. I think he's the type of striker we need. Good in the channels, come running behind. Not the best in the air, but has the physical presence that I think the aerial side of his game can come into it a little bit later on with some development from the players around him. I do think if Delap comes in though, and the rumours of Calvert-Lewin potentially signing a new contract, that could be it for Beto. To be honest with you, I don't think we need 3 strikers. And I do think Chimiti's going to go out on loan. I understand having 3 strikers in the sense that Calvert-Lewin's injured all the time, but they must have some confidence that Calvert-Lewin's not going to be crippled 99% of the time if they're going to give him a new deal. There's still a chance they don't. And then, of course, naturally, it may be Beto and Delap. But there is a chance the club may want to cash in on Beto if the right offer from Syria comes. Considering there was decent interest in January and he's only gone to improve his performances by leaps and bounds since then. So it'll be interesting, but we'll have to see where it goes. But I think Delap would be fantastic. Suits that style of play really well. But I think if he did come in, it'd be another situation where there's probably another release clause in his contract for clubs in the Champions League or Europe if we can't progress up the table. So I think it's one where I think he'll end up going to a Chelsea or a Man United, but I don't think there's as little a chance as some people may think there is. Paul Joyce reported this, but it mainly comes from Joe Thomas, and it's that Liverpool winger Ben Doak is also of interest to Everton this summer. This is a bit of an interesting one. We've run a poll on this as well with 3,703 votes, which is still up on the Twitter as well. And this one's a lot more mixed. 43% of the fans have said that they would. 37% have said that they don't know, and then 20% have said no. I feel like that 20% is mainly just because he's a Liverpool player, but it's not like he's Liverpool Academy, he's Celtic Academy. Liverpool nicked him from Celtic's Academy, and he's not really had much of a chance with the first team. Had a meniscus injury in 22-23, I believe, then got loaned out. Got a hamstring injury for Middlesbrough, but in 24 games got 3 goals and 7 assists. Really good player. Quite similar to someone like a Tom Fellows, but I think he's probably a bit quicker and has a bit more end product in front of goal. But Fellows has much better delivery, I would say that. So yeah, I think it's an interesting one. I believe Liverpool are asking for around 30 million, which is just way too much when you can get Fellows for probably half the price, to be honest with you. I think he's a really good player. I think he could do really well for us. I don't really think the links of him being a Liverpool player will really be an issue since he has no real affinity to the club. He's a Celtic lad, so I don't really see him being... he's not like a huge red or anything, so I don't think it'd be that big of an issue. But for 30 million, I can't really justify that, to be completely honest with you. When I think there's wingers just as talented as him, maybe a bit older than him, and I think Doak has a lot more potential than a lot of these players. But are we in a position to be gambling on potential when we need to be jumping up the league? It's a smart signing. He's got all the talent in the world. But I do think if the rumoured price of 30 million is true, then I think we have to look at some other places, to be honest, because we have so many holes, and if we signed him and Delap, that's 60 mil gone on 2 players. And unless the Freakins are really planning on splashing some money, we can't really be affording to spend 60 million on 2 players when we could spend 60 million to get potentially Delap, Harmer, and Fellows. You know, you see that and you just go, yeah, I think I'd much rather have the 3 than the 2, if I'm being completely honest with you. The next bit of news comes from Africa Foot, and it's that Everton are interested in 20-year-old Lille midfielder Ngalael Mukau. Sorry how I've butchered that name. He has 1 goal and 3 assists in 30 games in all competitions this season, but he's valued because of his athleticism and active recovery, is what it says. The reports state Everton are willing to pay 20 million euros for the Congolese international. No, I'm going to be brutally honest with you. his numbers look bang average. He's very young, but there's nothing that really stands out in his numbers that make it, this is the type of player he is. It's very box to box, but in a way where there's no standout aspect, if that makes sense. A little bit like, similar to someone like a James Garner, where there's no real standout attribute of his game, if that makes sense. It just looks like it's a lot of energy, great athlete, someone who's naturally going to develop, but I think we need more first team players in the players who can contribute. I understand we have Idrissa Gueye and James Garner, but I still think we need a defensive midfielder who can start games. Idrissa Gueye hasn't even signed a contract yet, so there's a chance Idrissa Gueye's gone, so we need a starting six to play in that role, and I don't think he can really offer that. Very similar to Irobenham, where there's a lot of athletic potential, but the technical ability still needs to be worked on. 20 million might just be a bit too much. It's 20 million euros, so it's closer to, I think, 16, 17 million pounds, but it's one of those where if we have a lot more money than I think we do, and I'm just so used to the past where it's been minimal spending, if we have a lot more money than that available, then I'd happily bring him in if we have 150, 160 million to spend, but I don't think we have that. I don't think we're going to have that, so I don't really want to. I think this summer it's an avoid the risk signings, if that makes sense. Getting good players who you know are going to produce, and then maybe next season when we're a little bit more established in a comfortable position in the Premier League like we are now, maybe a little bit higher up the league, then we can afford to bring in these young players who we can develop and hopefully keep at Goodison Park when they're fantastic at Bramley Moore when they're fantastic players. If not, sell them for a big profit. But I don't know. I don't really feel like the Brighton, the Brentford model really works for us. I don't think it ever has and ever will. I understand we've done it in the past, but I feel like we've always sold more experienced players for decent fees, players who are hitting their primes. There are exceptions, but I think that's always been more of our model than these young players sort of unlocking parts of the potential while they're still 22, 23. They still look really good, but then teams see what they can become and buy them. I don't really think I don't know, I feel like we've always been the club to establish a little bit older talent, maybe like 24, 25 year olds, and we sell them when they're 27, 28. But yeah, I'm not against it, but I think we need more established success in the team right now. But speaking of young players, moving on to the next bit of news comes from La Repubblica, and it's that Tottenham have now put a bid of 24 million euros, around 20 million pounds. I've sent an offer to Genoa for that much for their centre-back Coney de Winter. Everton and Borussia Dortmund are also interested. The lure of playing Champions League football with Spurs could cause Everton some issues in their battle for the defender. He looks like an interesting one, De Winter, because he looks like a real goal for Everton centre-back. I believe he has 3 goals in about 24 appearances, but his actual numbers for scoring goals are absolutely fantastic. Some of the best I've seen for a centre-back, but then in this weird realm, his defensive numbers are really bad. So it's like we're in this weird middle ground of where it feels like he's really good on set pieces. When we're crossing in corners, he'll be really dangerous, which will be fantastic to have with players like Tarkowski, O'Brien, Brownfoot, this rotation of really deadly centre-backs in the air or deadly centre-backs on set piece if we can get the delivery right with him as well. But I just think the defensive numbers they're terrible. I don't know if it's a thing where he's not having to do too much, because I don't really watch Genoa, but I feel like Genoa are not this fantastic keep the ball for 90 minutes team, so I feel like they're around the lower mid-table team, so I think it's one of those where they are going to have a lot of pressure on them, so I am surprised to see that the numbers are as low as they are. But again, he might be a good player, and but again, I feel like if he's going to be a backup centre-back, as players as a backup, it's the same with Mukau. If these players are going to be backups, do we really want to be spending 20 million on them? That's the thing in the situation we're in now. But we'll have to see. But that is all the news for today. I am going to say one thing. Congratulations to Sunderland for being promoted to the Premier League. Long time coming. Glad to see a big club like Sunderland back in the Premier League. But anyway, that is all for this video. If you did enjoy, please make sure to like and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter at Everton Newsfeed and follow me on Twitter at CallumBrannan3. And I'll see you all for the next video and or live stream that I am on.